present, we live in a world where complication is king and simplicity is a sin. Yes, sir. I am a rebel.
Winter has set its frozen roots deep within the earth, and the world sleeps until the awakening of spring. It is in this silent chill that a master artist can do some of her greatest work, and only the hardiest of picnickers dare venture out. Charro is such an artist, and I triumphantly carry a picnic basket under my arm this day. Our reasons behind this undertaking were simple. Charro had discovered a piece of granite that inspired her to start chiseling, and I had discovered a tree that looked perfect for sitting under. My provisions were of course the finest. Very few things cut through the bitter winter chill better than medium-cut roast beef on a bulky roll. An important lesson to be learned, however. From delightful trees, delightful things have a tendency to fall. O terror, O trepidation, O anguish, O distress, O suffering, O torment. Oh, thank goodness. As I attempted to regain my bearings and my sandwich, I was surprised to hear the object that hit me begin to comment rather loudly and colorfully on the annoying inconsistency of dry tree limbs. It was not in the least bit necessary to blink twice in identifying what presently stood before me. In all the realm of mythical beings, few stand out quite as sharply as the elusive backwoods fairy. These slightly more rural cousins of the common forest pixie are rarely acknowledged by the popular cliques of sylphdom because they tend to exhibit an occasional outburst of very non-fairy-like behavior. They tend to enjoy an occasional bit of dirty humor. They will rarely turn down a flame-broiled cheeseburger, but their most noticeably positive trait is in that where normal fairies, pixies, and elves are more obsessed with outer beauty and pristine good looks, backwoods fairies focus solely on love and emotion in all forms of life, appearing before the common and plain with the beautiful heart. And so it is said in legend, when the first pickup truck squealed its tires for the first time, the squeal broke into 1,000 pieces, and they all started sauntering about, and that was the beginning of backwoods fairies. The fairy cocked an eyebrow and complimented me on my fine chimerical schooling. It was at that moment that I realized that I had been making that entire observation out loud. Blushing slightly, or perhaps still reddened from the earlier collision, I introduced myself as gracefully as I possibly could. "Oh, I know who you are," she said in a sweet, gentle voice. "I've seen you around plenty enough, and helped you from time to time." Not wanting to seem ignorant, unobservant, over-inquisitive, or rude, I simply said, "Thank you." "Don't think nothing of it," she said. "I like you. Your fridge always stays stocked, and you don't mind the smell of feet. Plus, I never see you picking on nobody. Indeed, if there is any one thing that I have read that all backwoods fairies share in common, it is a very active sense of fair play and swift justice." Looking at her, I did recall the warnings that I had received as a child about trusting people claiming to be mythical creatures, and did, for a moment, doubt the authenticity of what I was seeing. However, Charro seemed to like her, so I decided that that was good enough for me. Chinchillas never make mistakes when supernatural beings are concerned. I sat back down and asked her what she was doing in the forest this fine day. As if my asking had suddenly reminded her, she suddenly started scouring the area and told me that she was looking for something. When I asked her what it was she was looking for, she responded by simply saying, "The festival is nearly upon us." I knew what she was talking about. Once every certain amount of years, on a day when all the calendars seem to get mixed up, the backwoods fairies come together for what is known as the Tuathwil Festival. A very full day of laughter, drinking, mudding, and tinkering with various explosives that ultimately ends with an offering to the great Twili Dardata Antiarna, High Ruler of the Backwoods Fairies, and a name that I have never been able to pronounce correctly. "That's right," she said, bringing my attention once again to the fact that I had been speaking out loud. "And the thing is, I overslept by a few seasons, and I don't have nothing to offer." "What kind of items tend to pass as good offerings at these festivals?" I asked. "Usually items that don't lack in meaty consistency," she said. "Something hearty and juicy with a rugged, smoky flavor. Something, you know, beefy." Hearing these words, I suddenly became very aware of not wanting to have any further part of this conversation. With prodigious stealth, I attempted my getaway as I heard her exclaim, "Now that I come to think of it, weren't you carrying something that had a fine tenderloin aroma to it?" Alas, I was frozen in my tracks, armed now only with my own desperate wit to protect my intentions. But was it really right for me to do this? Selfishly duck away when beefy goodness is needed by others? After further consideration, a slight ping in the back of my head alerted me that I really should do the right thing. She did say that she had helped me in the past, and whether I knew about it or not, that alone was good enough reason. With a great deal of repentance in my heart, I returned and gave to the fairy my beloved sandwich. "Thanking you kindly," she said, "and my name's Betty, by the way." And with that, she fluttered off into the forest with her new prize. From the distance, I could hear her shouting, "Don't you worry, I'll bring you back something real good from the party." I wasn't entirely certain what Betty had meant by that statement, but of one thing I was sure. It was high time Charro and I headed home. Half a moment, where did you come from? I'm no botanist, but I can honestly say that I have never seen one of these at the local nursery. A plant that bears pie? This demands investigation. And probably a fork.